Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to edit these lovely crocuses. They have been sitting on my hard drive since about 2018, and at the time I thought they're okay, but the background isn't too pretty, so they've sat there and I haven't done anything with them. But while it's winter in the UK, it's an ideal time to go back and edit some old photographs. This is the original image, and as you can see, all this horrible stuff, because they were actually growing out of soil and they weren't planted in grass, so it's not a very nice background at all. So I think what we'll do is we'll start on this image. As I say, that's what it is going to more or less look like when it's finished. So let's go back to the original image. So let's have a look first of all at the composition. What do we think of that? Well, I think there's too much space here. I think it probably needs to be cropped at the left-hand side. So that's the first thing we'll do. So let's go to the crop tool, bring the image in a little bit. And I think that will do. Now the stems are a little bit short. So what I'm going to do is let's zoom in first. Let's zoom out so I can see more of the image. Right, so crop tool, and I'm going to bring the image down a bit more. I'm going to go up to content aware fill. So let's see how that handles this. So I want to make those stems a bit longer. Oh yes, that's made a pretty good job, hasn't it? Yeah, I think we'll go with that one. Now the thing is, what we need to do is we need to make a background. So I'm going to crop, say there maybe, and say okay. Right, zoom in so you can see what we're doing. I'm just going to reproduce all of these petals all over the background by cloning. So take the clone tool, make sure it's on 100% normal, and just sample from the background, from the foreground. Just sample from the flower. Doesn't matter how you do it, it's entirely up to you. And every background will be different. You won't get it the same all the time. Not sure what these orange stamens are going to look like reproduced, but let's just wait and see. Nearly there. Make sure there's no really dark patches as well, because that sometimes isn't good for the image. Right, so we'll go up now. We'll go up to filter, down to blur, and over to Gaussian blur. Well, that's not too bad. It isn't showing those orange bits up too much, so I think we'll a bit more detailing. So bring your pixels down, something like that. Okay, so let's have a look what my background's like. Yeah, that's quite a nice one actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this one. I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to save as, and I'm going to call it background. And I'll save it to the desktop for ease. So let's get rid of my background that I made earlier. Let's go back to the original image. So we'll go back in our history and we'll go back to the original image. But then we need to go back to where we cropped it. So what we need to do now is we need to go and get our background from wherever you saved it. So I saved mine on the desktop. I'm going to say open, find my background, and there it is. So we should have the original image that's cropped and our background. Right, so the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to select the subjects. And I think the subjects will select pretty well because we're on quite a dark background. I think the stems, we might have to select those separately. So let's go up and say select subject. Oh, that's a surprise. Okay, so I thought it wouldn't select the stems, but it has. Okay, that's fine. So then we'll go up to select and mask. And let's go in and check just how it looks in select and mask. And that's done a pretty damn good job. I'm very impressed with that. The last time I did this, when I was practicing it, it didn't select. Oh, right, that's brilliant. Okay. On the right-hand side here, I've already remembered the settings, so that's maybe why, because I was messing around with the settings the last time. So I've got it on layers. There's all these different ones you can have. I'll just go through one or two. Onion skin, overlay, black and white. But I much prefer on layers because I can see all the little bits it hasn't selected. As I say, I've put remember settings here. Color aware, radius is 20. Tick the smart radius. Smooth is on 12, radius is on 20. Smooth is on 12. Feathers on 3. Shift edge is on 60, minus 60. I mean, if you play around with these, you'll be able to see how it's affected. This gives it a much harder edge. So I'm going to go back to my, what was it, 60? Yeah, 60. Feather, that is what it says. It does feather the edges, and depending on how soft you want it, you've got to give your computer a chance to catch up. I mean, that's on 9. I could possibly extend this to maybe 5, which gives it a nice edge. So that being sorted, decontaminate colours, tick that. And then we're going to output to a new layer with a layer mask. I'm going to say OK. So what that does, that gives us another background copy with a mask on top. So this is pretty good. So now we've got our flowers masked out, we need to find our background. So wherever you saved your background, go to open, find your background, and bring it into Photoshop. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the move tool. So click the move tool, hold your mouse down on the background, drag it up to your image, bring it back down and release the mouse button. Use the free transform to resize it. And it doesn't matter if it's bigger than the actual image. And it doesn't matter if you're making the background bigger because it'll be a blurred background anyway. Either say enter if you're happy or click the tick at the top here. Now what we've got to do, we've got to drag this layer down below the background copy, like so. And hey presto, there are your flowers. Now you can move this portion around. If you click the image on the background layer, you can actually move those around if you want to and have a better composition. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to leave them at that. Now we'll do some masking. So you need to have your mask highlighted on your layers box. Over here, you've got black or white. Black is the foreground colour at the moment. So for masking purposes, what that will do is black will bring your background in over your flower. If you select white, then that will take your background out. So if you make a mistake, you can always switch from black to white. If you don't want as much of the background in, switch to white. Okay, so we're going to go on to black. As I say, make sure your mask is selected, otherwise nothing will happen. Go and get your brush. I've got a nice soft round one. I've got the mode on normal. Don't forget to set that on normal, otherwise you won't see anything happening. And I've got it on 25% opacity at the moment. So if you do it in increments, you can do it lower if you want to, then it will gradually build up. And the lower you have it, chances are you won't see much happening. So I'm just going to go around the edges. Go around all the edges. You don't have to be super accurate, because we're going to make this into a nice soft image. I'm going to build it up again. And you can actually see now that the edges are going softer because we're bringing the background in. I think what I might do is zoom in. Let's have a look at these stems, because they look a bit, I've got quite dark edges. So if you use the brush tool, put your opacity up to say 50%, and make your brush smaller, you can actually go around these edges, and because it's only at 50%, you can actually see the change, can't you? And do it again. See what it's doing? It's actually softening the edges. This will bring in some of the background in, but we're not bringing the whole. See, unless I go around over it twice, then it won't bring the whole 100% in, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, so I'll do this one as well. And again. Now, you're going to make a better job of this than me. I'm actually rushing a little bit. I think you get the idea. So the more opacity you use, the more of the background you're going to get in. And if we go back, you can see, look. Okay, what a difference that's made. Let's zoom out again. Zoom out. Now I think what we'll do is we'll blur the stems a bit more, and I'll use 50% to start with. You can see, look. So that's on 50%. Bring it down to 25. Make it quite a big brush. And you can bring the so you can see the idea kind of, and you can go all around the edges of your image again if you want to. Let's see what what mine looks like. Now you see how soft I've got mine, because what I've done is I've also gone across the image with a fairly big brush, and this is what I've done. But again, it's experimenting with your opacity and just seeing what look you want. Yeah, let's just do the edges again. I think you've got the general idea, or hope you have anyway. But I should be doing more images using this method. Let's just go over again with another 25%, making it look even more dreamy, as I call it. Because what you don't want to do as well, you don't want to make it look as though it's just been plonked on the background. No, something extra I did. I'm going to zoom in now. It's all experimenting. I've only just discovered masks and I think they're fantastic. So something else I did on this image, I've just zoomed in. So I'm going to select the opacity for the brush at 50%. Select your brush, tiny little brush. I'm on the white now. So I'm bringing the flower back through. So I'm just selecting these stamens to make them stand out. As I say, it needs a small brush. And the thing is, I'm only doing 50% opacity at the moment. I can go over them again if I want to. But I thought this just made these stamens stand out. And that is selecting the white brush to bring part of the image back in. So let's have a look at that. Yeah. And you can do it again. Pleased with that. Let's have a look at the one I did. I think I probably could have done a bit more with the brush tool, but I think I'm quite happy with that one. So I think you've got the gist of that. Just have a play around. It'd be nice to see your images, whether you're on any Facebook groups, post your images. If there's anything you want to ask me, if there's any questions you want to ask, if you want to make any comments, please leave them in the comment box below. My contact details are there. So if there's anything you want to ask me, please go ahead. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Okay, hope you've enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Bye.